Rob.
Michelle.
Waiting for that. Welcome to Axel's Garage. We are in our Maverick.
Watch out. Crash reported ahead.
As you can hear, in New York City traffic. We are on the Belt Parkway. So we are leaving Long Island, headed into Queens and then Brooklyn, through Staten Island, or over Staten Island, on Staten Island, and then into Jersey. We're actually headed to Maryland today, but we have a trip that will continue for about 1,500 miles or so round trip, maybe even longer. I don't know. We'll find out.
We have over 5,000 miles on this.
You'll find out in just a few minutes. Yeah, we've got about 3,884 miles in 2 months with our Maverick, and we're really liking it. The more I drive it, the more I like it. Michelle uses it every day. I don't really use it every day. And how do you feel about it? Wow, big wreck.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow. That Dodge Charger is in 2 pieces.
Jesus.
So how do you feel about it?
What?
The car.
I like it. I drive it every day.
Any good, bad, ugly? Anything you don't like?
No. I have to be honest.
It took a little getting used to the low.
Yes.
The low, because
Yes.
we've been driving Suburbans and Yukons and Yukon XLs and things like that, so the low took a little bit.
Yes, because the other day I was with my daughter, well, I was with Amanda in the parking lot, and I said, oh shoot, where do we park? And she goes, behind that big Suburban is our little car, you can't see it. But she doesn't like the car.
So, she doesn't like it just because I think they're breaking our chops about it.
Yes.
That it's hybrid.
Yes.
More than anything. If we didn't get the hybrid,
They
I don't think they would be breaking our chops.
No.
It would just be a small truck. They just like to make fun of us. What I have noticed is we did a couple of videos with eco mode and with regular mode, driving normally, not trying to hyper mile it or anything like that on long highway trips to see what the hybrid gets on the highway. And, you know, what we found was we beat EPA, is 33 highway, and we beat that by a long shot, anywhere from 38 to 40 miles to the gallon on the highway on a long trip. And just to give you an example, now we've been driving for about 5-6 miles, and even though we're on a parkway, which in New York is they call them parkways, but they're highways where commercial vehicles aren't permitted. So it's like an interstate, but there's no commercial vehicles. We call it a parkway, different story for a different day. But what happens is, in New York, it's slow. So we're doing 40 miles an hour. And the city driving to get to this parkway and the slowness because of the traffic on this parkway, which we're lucky if you're going to do 35 to 45 miles an hour during the daytime on these roads, we're actually been getting, according to the vehicle, 53 miles to the gallon. Right now we're doing 45 miles an hour and it's in all electric. Like right now, 51.3 is our average of the 12.5 miles that we've gone so far. This is our second big road trip. Steven did one. Our son Steven did a road trip, and his average was around 38 also. Not paying attention to any of the stuff at all, which was a great test, because he just got in it and went, and he drove to North Carolina, drove around there for 2 weeks, and then drove home. And his average of his entire journey, so, you know, 600 miles highway, 2 weeks driving around town, then 600 miles highway back, he came back home, and his total average was 38 miles per gallon. So now we got almost 4,000 miles on the Maverick, and we're going to do our second road trip and see if our mileage changed at all with having some break-in time and mileage on it and being used to the vehicle. And we'll report back to you at the next stop.
See ya.
Well, it's the next day. It's been 496 miles, and we are 6 miles away from our destination in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. What do you think, lady?
I can't wait.
Decent ride. So we took our first leg yesterday from New York to Maryland on the Chesapeake in Northeast Maryland. Not Northeast Maryland, Northeast Maryland.
That's the town, Northeast.
And that was for the 35th annual Mid-Atlantic Chevelle Show, hosted by the Maryland Chevelle Club. We hadn't been there since 2002. It's a nice show. It rained. We did a video on it. You can check it out on our channel. And going down there, now, I drove most of the way. You drove the last hour or so. We did have it in eco mode because you're traveling and you're on the road. If you remember to hit that eco mode, it just doesn't seem like there's a downside to hitting it the eco mode. You're going to get better fuel mileage, even if it's just 1 to 2 miles per gallon over the course of a trip. That adds up. So we did hit it in eco mode, and we were at 44.8 miles to the gallon going from New York to Maryland at the show. That was the best highway mileage that we have done, and I think the reason for that was the congestion. So the Jersey Turnpike was pretty congested, 95 South was pretty congested, so we were never traveling at that 75 miles an hour or so.
No.
And it was flat, no mountains. So all our other trips have been through some mountains and speed limits 65, 70, and 75 miles per hour. So if we're going 5 or 6 over, we're putting a decent speed on the vehicle and it changes your fuel economy. So now we're hitting roads where there was only a 65 mile an hour speed limit for a little while on the Jersey Turnpike, and there really wasn't a whole lot of time that we could be up at that speed or above that speed because of the traffic and the congestion. So for the most part, we were traveling at 50 to 60 miles per hour, maybe 65 tops, but we weren't hitting that 70, 74, depending on how we were going. So I think that attributed to the increase in the mileage, just not driving as fast. So your fuel mileage is better, you're less on the throttle, it goes into electric mode a little more often then, and you're not straining the gas engine as much as you are at 75 plus miles per hour. But then we got in the car today and we had a 6-hour drive that we're just finishing up on, and our mileage really didn't change much. We only dropped it down. It's 42.5 measured at the computer, and we've done some testing on that before, measuring it at the pump and at the computer, and it could be a mile or 2 off, but we're, whether I measure it at the pump or at the computer, we're over 40. So it's saying 42.5 miles per gallon. I would be comfortable calling it an even 42 if I measured it at the pump. I would guess. That whole measuring at the pump thing is pretty difficult as well, because every pump gives you a different top off level. They're all different, unless you go to the same pump, and even at the same pump, it's just a little arbitrary, really. So we are approaching the town of Duck in the Outer Banks, and I'll flip the camera around and show you what it looks like. Well, we made it to our destination, 504 miles, and our average was 42.4 miles. We lost a tenth in about 30 minutes of bumper-to-bumper traffic. We did lose a tenth crawling in the last 20 miles or so. But it was a good trip. Maverick ran great, 4,380 miles, and so far so good. We'll keep you updated with some more Maverick videos, and as always, thanks for watching.